This video is about to be very controversial. So I'm just letting you know that if you have a tendency to be sensitive, you know, if you don't like factual information, if you don't like people thinking outside the box, it's probably best, before I get started, that you switch over. Find another channel. Don't tune in. Don't worry about me, because today we're going to be talking about that good old thing called racism. Now, I grew up in the 90s, and in the 90s there was a runner, and this man was an Olympic medalist. This man was a world champion. This man was a black man, and he was a great runner. His name was Linford Christie.
And they got away first time. Christie got a good one. Kaysen going well as well. And it's Christie and Kaysen, with Kaysen on the near side. And Christie comes through to become champion of the world. The time just outside the world record, 9.87. A brilliant piece of sprinting. And Kaysen, the silver medalist, the first to say well done, joined by Carl Lewis.
Linford Christie used to run for Great Britain. And recently, Linford Christie has come out in a documentary and said that the racism that he felt within Great Britain kind of tarnished his medals when he did win them for the country. Now, as a man who grew up in the 90s, in my younger years, I used to always wonder, why is the nation of Great Britain obsessed with this guy's penis? Now, I know a lot of you who probably never grew up back then is probably thinking that I'm actually exaggerating, but I am not exaggerating. Great Britain was obsessed with one black man's penis, and his name was Linford Christie. They used to call it his lunchbox.
During those Olympics, my paper, The Sun, dreamed up a phrase, Linford Christie's lunchbox. And it was pounced upon by the editorial people, and they splashed it in the paper.
Now, me being me, I always start to wonder about the why. It's the place where nobody really wants to go, but it's the place where I always want to go. I always want to know the why, because the why will give you the answer to your questions. Why is it like this? Why do people do this? Why is this going on? So it's always a question that you've got to ask. Most people run away from the why because what it does is that it makes you look inside yourself. Most people don't want a mirror held up to themselves, and most people don't want to be exposed for the person who they are. Now, if you don't have any malice or anything like that, you don't mind the why. You don't even mind delving into the why. I don't mind delving into the why, because I really want to know why. Why is there an obsession with the black man's penis? Now, a lot of you may say, oh, you know what, here he goes, Sa Ra's on his rant. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, really? Let's go back into antiquity. The reason why people were obsessed with Linford Christie's penis is because white people, white men and women, have always been obsessed with the black man's penis. Always have done, always looks like it, they always will do. When you go to the South of America, into the lynching era, what you will find, there's a book that I've read and I continuously read just to remind myself, called 100 Years of Lynchings. 100 Years of Lynchings by Ralph Ginsberg is a book that I read just to remind myself that there is an obsession with the black man's penis. How? When it was time to lynch a black man, if we go into antiquity, after they would lynch him, they would always cut off his penis. Why? 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 If we go back into antiquity again, and we go back to the Arab slave trade, the Arabs did it too. The Arabs would castrate their black male slaves. cutting off their penises, and a lot of the time making them into eunuchs. Why? Why? What was it about the black man's penis that used to get people so riled up? What is it? I'll tell you what it is. The black man has the genetic capability in his penis, in his balls, to genetically annihilate the planet. That's what he can do. I'm not saying that he should do. That's not what I'm advocating. I'm saying that black men have the genetic capability to annihilate the planet. If a black man, say for myself, if you lined up all women of the earth, you lined up Chinese one, white one, Japanese one, Arab one, and I was to have sex with all of these women and impregnate them all, what you would find is that those babies are no longer seen as that race. The Chinese wouldn't claim them, the Japanese wouldn't claim them, the Arabs wouldn't claim them, white people wouldn't claim them. Those babies would now be quote unquote black. And I think to some degree that there's always a fear of genetically annihilating people when it comes to black people. Now, what happens in the extreme cases of quote unquote white supremacy is that you get people like Dylan Roof.
What does this manifesto say?
Well, Poppy, it says what you would expect from someone who did what authorities say he did. It's a very long manifesto, and I want to go to the end of it because he talks about, the author talks about the reason for choosing Charleston. This is what it says. I have no choice. I am not in the position to alone go into the ghetto and fight. I chose Charleston because it is most historic city in my state and at one time had the highest ratio of blacks to whites in the country. We have no skinheads, no real KKK, no one doing anything but talking on the internet. Well, someone has to have the bravery to take it to the real world, and I guess that has to be me.
If you guys know who Dylan Roof is, a few years ago, a white boy walked into a church in America and he killed like 8 black people. Then you have Andres Breivik, who done the same in one of the Scandinavian countries. And these are the things that really intrigue me because they leave manifestos behind. When they leave a manifesto behind, they always tell you what their fears are. You see it. And in these manifestos, both of them have always stated, oh, there's too many of these other people and they're gonna quote unquote breed us out and our genetics as white people are dwindling. And if you look at that on the global scale, you'll see that in certain places in Europe, the white genetics are at minus birth rate. It's actually happening in Japan also, actually. That's why Japan actually put out a call for people to come and impregnate their society. It's really crazy, but certain parts in Europe are at minus birth rate. And so them being at minus birth rate, there's a fear there. There's actually a fear there. Now, I'm not saying it's a fear in all white people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's a fear for white people who have that fear about being genetically annihilated. And normally when you look at the extreme, in the cases of Dylan Roof, it always comes out. Now, I always look at racism and white supremacy on a scale. And I'm saying your extremes are Dylan Roof, but then there are people who are within white society probably think like him, but don't do the same thing as him. Then you've got people that just don't think like him, and they're just cool, right? But back to the black man's penis. Linford Christie had to endure copious amounts of racism and focusing on his penis continuously, and all he wanted to do was just to run for his country.
The day after I won the Olympics, they talked about how big my dick was.
During those Olympics, my paper, The Sun, dreamed up a phrase, Linford Christie's lunchbox. And it was pounced upon by the editorial people and they splashed it in the paper. You know, I didn't like it, but it was done. Linford's lunchbox. Trips off the tongue, doesn't it?
You know, the worst part was they used a black guy, you know, to do a spread in the Sun newspaper. And he had, I don't know if he had bananas or whatever in it, you know. You know, I felt it was very derogatory, very racist.
I will say this for the people who put that in the paper. It wasn't a racist thing at all. They thought it was amusing. And believe it or not, it didn't do him any harm at all.
You know, because of that story, women felt it was okay to come and grab my dick. No, I'm serious. I'm standing there and women felt that it was okay. They come up and they just grab you and laugh and walk.
When you say it didn't do any harm, what do you mean?
Well, the public loved him. They probably loved him even more. You know, as I say, he became part of him.
Well, now, we'll have to give him a name. Fiddler. And do we have a George?
Yes, sir. There's Suki's George, born last planting time.
Well, then, Toby. Yes, his name should be Toby.
A couple of years ago, a teacher at my school, they'd taken a picture of your car. They'd posted, "It's a shame there's no picture of the lunchbox in the window."
If it upset him, isn't that do harm?
He was annoyed, understandably. It didn't affect him. I mean, in the end, he brushed it off.
I'm somebody's son, you know, I'm somebody's father, brothers, you know, whatever it is, you know, and so this is the thing I have to put up with. The lunchbox thing followed me around for years.
Just wanted to run for his country. But people kept on focusing on his penis. And as a black man myself who's grown up in Great Britain, it's something that I've come across as well. As a black man in Great Britain, I've been in and around white people all of my life. Got no problem with white people. But for some reason, when I get in and amongst white men, have a drink, go down the pub, blah, 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 for some reason, there's a joke, a comment, something about my penis. And I'm just like, bro, like, at no point in time this evening, as a white dude, has your penis been on my mind. Sorry to break it to you, but I've not thought to make a joke about your penis. I've not thought to make a comment about your penis, but for some reason, you've thought to make a comment about mine. Why? There's a subconscious or conscious conversation going on in the minds of many white people. Now you may think, oh, he's going on about penises again. He can't substantiate what he's doing, what he's saying. Oh, really? Let's go to the porn industry. The porn industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And there is a section of that industry dedicated to what? The BBC. The big black cock. That's what they call it. The big black cock. That's what they call it, right? Dedicated to black men and their penises. Not dedicated to Asian men and their penises. Not dedicated to white men and their penises. Not dedicated to Japanese men and their penises. Not dedicated to Indian men and their penises, but dedicated to black men and their penises. As a matter of fact, there's another section in there where it's dedicated to black men having sex with white women. Why white men watch? They call it cuckold. There are places in this earth, multi-billion-dollar industries, dedicated to black men railing white women while white men watch. And that doesn't seem odd to you. That doesn't seem weird to you. As a black man, that makes me feel a little bit weird. I won't lie, because I don't want people watching me have sex with their wife. Like, to me, that's weird. But to some people, that's a turn on. But why? Why is the black man's penis consistently on the minds of people? Because the black man has a gun, okay? And his gun is not physical. It's not metal and doesn't shoot bullets. Black men's gun is between their legs. And if black men choose to shoot, they kill a whole nation. They kill a whole generation of people. And that is a fear, a real fear in the minds of some white people, not all, but of some white people. We go to the South again, and there were whole laws made, okay? So black men could not touch white women. As a matter of fact, going back to the book that I spoke about earlier, going back to 100 Years of Lynchings that I spoke about earlier. It's funny reading that book because it's a collection of reportings on lynchings. And after reading that book, you realize to yourself that around 70%, roughly, of lynchings were because of a white woman. A white woman said a black man touched her wrong. A white woman said a black man raped her. A white woman said a black man looked at her the wrong way. We all know the story of Emmett Till, of the young black boy who was killed in America, and the white lady who said that he whistled at her or looked at her the wrong way actually confessed on her deathbed that it didn't go down like that. But white women were the reason for a lot of the lynchings in America. Again, the black man's penis. White men did not want black men using their penis on their women because why? They could annihilate them. And so when it comes back to Linford Christie and me growing up, I was always wondering, like, why is the nation obsessed with this guy's penis? Linford Christie couldn't go on an interview after winning the world championships without them talking about his dick. I'm telling you, you guys think I'm joking. It was horrendous the way the nation focused in on this black man's penis and was obsessed with it. I was just like, this is just weird, bro. Is that all the black man is to a lot of people? A penis? Is that what he is? Well, in Linford Christie's case in the 90s, that's exactly what it was. And I think we saw the culmination of all of those fears and, I guess, taboos and intrigue on a black man's penis, all focused on one man called Linford Christie. And in this documentary, which you should all go and watch, he said that it really ruined him winning all of those medals because he just felt like a piece of meat to the nation. That's what he felt like. He felt like a penis. He didn't feel like a runner. He felt like a penis. And in these days and times, a lot of those subconscious conversations are still going on in the minds of people. We just act like they aren't. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say about this Linford Christie documentary. I think you should all go and watch it. I think you should all go and digest it and see exactly what I'm talking about. If people are wondering, oh my God, he went on a rant about penises. You should all go and watch it. And yeah, I'm gonna catch you lot on the flip side.